Okay, so I could not find a gold zipper. The closest thing I could find was a heavy jacket zipper, but the zipper bowl is way too big, and there's just a lot of zippers that will go to waste. I did, however, find this gold chain for the bag, which is perfect. That's what we need. I'll change out this claw because I have two that match compared to this one. But I did have this little blue guy here. This is probably a 4-inch zipper. Let me double check that. Yes, this is a 4-inch zipper, which will do its job pretty well. So we will just go with that, unfortunately. You know, these are some sacrifices you have to make when making such tiny bags. That or going online. So yeah, let's find the middle of this zipper and line it up with the middle of this line, which is the center of our bag. This whole thing is a bit longer than the measurement I said, so this is the 18 centimeter mark, but this goes all the way out to 21. So I found the center of this so that I can place the zipper in the center, and then we'll have the same amount on both sides for when we finally sew it together. That way we just have a little bit of extra just in case something gets off, which is what you want when making something so small. I have trimmed the edges of our zipper, but not by too much, because then you can, when you sew, you have that extra hangover on these edges. And it's a little hard to see, but I do have the line for the halfway point of the zipper that we can line up with this. Now what we want to do is we want to kind of like line this all up, like that's there. And then we want to make sure these tabs are about a quarter or half an inch. So what you want to do is you want to go like more than half an inch, so that then you can kind of stitch around this, and then the bag will open a little bit more. So I'm gonna do that. So yeah, I went about a centimeter, not an inch. I keep forgetting I do centimeters and not inches. Sorry guys. So this is a centimeter wide, so that you have enough on these sides when you like fold that over, so that then there's still some like leather here. So what you'll do is you'll cut this out. So gotta make sure that I made it long enough. This is 9, but this zipper part is not exactly. Or like 7.5. So about here, 7.5. So we can take this in just a little bit. So we'll go like about there and about there. So that then our zipper should fit pretty good. Alright, we'll cut it out. So now it'll look something like this. And then you're just going to take this to the machine, and you're going to put on a zipper foot and stitch around the zipper. So let's go over to the machine. Okay, we have it all set up. Now we just got to sew it. Okay, so you might need to take your foot up and pull your zipper, just so that then it's not in the way, and then you can keep stitching. Oh, I moved it. That's okay. So this machine, it doesn't put the needle back down. But that's okay. Let me actually back up a little. Okay. It's right where we need it. And we can stitch forward. You can also unzip it to try to get it to line up again, but you'll have to run this first stitch. More like this. You should be able to pull the zipper back and open it up again. There you go. So it will look like this. It got a little off here, but it still zips. And it's good to have a little bit of extra room. The zipper gets a little close here. So, yeah. Okay, so we're also going to need to sew on some little straps so that the actual chain can hook to. It sits pretty close to here where the loop holes go for the strap. So we will make these thinner and we'll add jump rings and we'll hand sew it. So let me get some jump rings real quick. So these are just little 8mm jump rings. They work the best because they're not too small, but not too large, that you can easily get your little clasps on them, because again, the leather will take up a little bit of that space. So it just gives it much easier effect. Like, it just makes it easier. So, got your claw. Oh, sorry. It's hard to do one-handed, apparently. And see? Super easy. And when it has a little bit of leather added to it, it'll be still easy. So let's do that. These are my little leather strips. Sorry. These are my little leather strips. Okay. One little jump ring buckle on. Now for the other side. And there we go. Now we just need to sew the fronts and backs on. So your best bet is to probably sew the front on to make sure that it's most lined up. Also, the glue dried on the back, so that should keep the stitching from coming out of the back since I didn't backstitch it. So we'll find our two centers like this by stabbing the needle through and stitching. So this will all be like top stitched on the back, and this is why you're going to need to cut your curves so that your bag actually, you know, fits the shape of the front. So we can snip those edges right now, and you just want to snip them up to that line point, and they don't have to be particularly small, just enough that it can move freely and take on some of those curves. You don't have to do this for the whole strip, but I mean, it is a heart. It is pretty weavy windy. So now you'll just make sure that when you're stitching, you sew this part to this line here. So I'm just gonna start doing that. Okay, so this is what some of the stitching process has gotten. Again, it takes quite a while, but the only way it was able to achieve that curve is because I have cut the little tabs. So you might want to cut them just a little bit smaller since these are a little bit of a chunkier tab, but definitely it helps. And I might have to cut a little more, but for this straight part I could probably get away with just leaving it without cutting it, giving it a bit of structure there. Okay, and now here we are now. So you want to leave quite a bit not stitched down here just until you get the other side, so that then you can make sure that it lines up where you want it to and that it doesn't come out wonky, because you want it to be able to match up with this end tip. So, but here's what the inside of that is looking like. So it ripples a little bit where you could cut it, but for the straight part it helps that I did not cut it, so it's got a little more structure there. So now you just gotta repeat for the other side. This takes a while. Hand sewing these things is definitely time consuming. One thing that I did not mention is that you might want to sew these bags in sections. So I keep having to like refill my thread. But it's better to do it in sections, not one long go, because the thread does really like to get caught on some of these funky shapes and curves, or it'll like wrap around a part of the bag. So just keeping them small and in sections will really help out. This has already been like 3 sections. So that was a section, this was a section, and this is a section. So we have one more section to go. So now we've kind of come down to the hard part, which is the bottom connecting. So I've folded this up, and I think I'm going to fold this one up too, because our goal is to kind of make them meet in the middle like so. You need to like run a seam right there. So we want to make sure we have enough material, but not too much material. But I think that'll be enough. So I will end my stitch and I will stitch this part down. So we'll get back to that. So you can kind of like, and don't be scared to flip the bag inside out. If you've stitched it correctly, it'll hold itself pretty good. And also you can get kind of a better understanding of how things are stitched together. So we want to make sure that this is all kind of lined up. So a little more ended up on this side of our bag, but that's okay. So we're just gonna stitch across. So what you might want to do is trim it just a little bit, but not too much. And then we'll flip it and see if we've done it correctly. I also recommend, if you're going to make bags, you probably should do some mock-ups, just in case. It looks like it's gonna be okay though. Might not be 100% on the center, but it's pretty close. So we will go with it. We will trim it down some more and maybe cut some edges. But I'd say success. And here we have a heart shape. So now you just have to do that to the other side. Honestly, after that you're done. You just add the chain and it's a pretty easy process. So let me just show you the chain real fast. So you can get an idea. Except they're gonna make me untwist all these. No. Sorry, hold on. Come on. Okay. But then, there'd be a chain, like so. But yeah, that's basically how you make a bag. I know it's not the whole sewing part, but sewing just takes a lot of time, so I'll finish this off video and I'll have it posted so you can see it. But that's it.